Peace, peace to you and yours. Ladies, gentlemen, gather round, boys, girls. How we feeling tonight, man?
Feeling lovely, my brother. Over here enjoying a nice glass of some RSC punch, you know what I mean? Thursday night activity. It's only right. You know what I mean?
RSC punch, man. That's
what
like
it
those,
is.
like the WWE ice cream bars, but it's just better.
That's something to add for the
year round.
Around the Corner Pro menu, you know what I mean? Protein, yo, that was insane.
Yo, shouts to everybody that's live and direct at the Around the Corner Activity Center right now. We appreciate y'all.
Around the Corner Pro.
Tell you something, man. Talking about Around the Corner Pros, I was just in my room of living watching the New York Knickerbockers put belt to ass.
Classic, man. It felt like I was watching some OKC, you know what I mean? Type of game. Right?
How's that game looking?
No, I mean, like watching the Knicks do what they just did was almost like OKC right now.
Oh, absolutely.
What OKC has been doing all season. I was like, wow, it's nice to see the Knicks on this side of the fence.
I like it. I
don't know what happened to them, yo. God bless anybody who had the parlay with Jonathan Kuminga, Nikhil Walker, CJ McCollum. When Buddy Hield is getting put in the game,
it's not your night, man.
The Hawks are going through it. And I'm in peace to Buddy Hield, you know what I'm saying? But for a man that gets no playing time to now be coming across my screen, pause, no way did the Hawks stand a chance.
Done deal. I saw it was the largest ever deficit at halftime in playoff history. And I'm happy to be on the right side of history instead of having spent money to watch that game as an Atlanta Hawks fan. Peace to y'all.
Yo, Atlanta was on fire the other night, you know what I mean? Anytime they was playing, you saw the arenas, even win or lose, it was on fire. But tonight don't look like, yo, we just happy that things is going good, because that just looked like a dismantling. Like it just
the other part is all of the half the arena Knicks fans anyway. You know what I mean? It's a home game.
South.
That's a home game, bro.
MSG South is definitely on deck.
Yeah, shouts to all of the fellow the Baker family that is in Atlanta, right?
So the rest of the Law family that is in the A as well too.
In the A,
you know, we got them roots over in the A.
Yeah, man. So yeah, Thursday Night Live, 905 Live. Yeah, shouts to us. We hit 1,000 on X earlier this week, so that was dope. Shouts to all the followers. Shouts to Keeks. Shouts to all the peoples. You know, that was love. And tonight we're bringing back that Nassau Coliseum video series. We're gonna be talking a little bit about 2023 Worlds End, the first Worlds End. But even more so than the card, I'm looking forward to just chopping it up about the time that AEW was in, the vibes of AEW at that time, and compare it to, you know, where AEW is now. Because looking at MJF, you know, being one of the heartbeats of AEW, where he goes, pretty much the company goes as far as vibe, you know, especially the vibe, the overall vibe of the company is very much determined by the world champ. And he was the world champ coming into this World's End, and most recently he was the world champ before 2 weeks ago, give or take a day or two, when he lost to Darby Allin. But before we get into that,
hold on a second. We also got to let people know, for the new followers that just jumped into this whole orbit of the RSC, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to y'all new. I mean, we definitely gained a hell of amount of followers, man. We finally touched 1,000 real quick, you know what I mean? Off the platform right here that y'all are watching us on right now. So what we've been doing these last couple of months is a Coliseum Classic type of special, as I've been calling it, is what we essentially have been dubbing it, you know what I mean? It's us going through some classic Nassau Coliseum wrestling events. We're from Long Island, from LI, big LI, you know what I mean? So we also wanted to make sure that we're showing love to some of the classic companies, cards, whether they were good or bad. And we've got plenty that we've still got to go through, that we've already went through. We went through Sunday Night Heat. We went through Saturday Night's Main Event. We've had NWA. We've had quite a few different infusions in these episodes. So tonight, this is going to be a good one. We're bringing it current. We haven't done a current one yet, so it's going to be a a good change of pace with that one. You know what I mean in regards to the current product. So if y'all are tuned in for the first time, this isn't your typical wrestling show where we're gonna just be giving you guys our smarmy hot takes and what we hate about product and wrestling at the moment and this, that, and the third. Like we're not here to just give you all that. We're gonna give you some jokes and all that, but we also want to talk about some of the classics that we've watched to get to this point of this episode. You know?
For sure. And like even to bring y'all even more up to speed, what's been cool about this series is some of those shows were things that we heard about but never actually got a chance to sit down and watch the card. You know, like Chad mentioned, this was the first this World's End. This is the first one in this series so far that we've done where it's been, you know, current, something that we watched and maybe we rewatched. All of those older ones, like there were a couple of Sunday night heats, for example, where I know I've seen clips, but I hadn't actually watched the show. It was the first ever Saturday night main event, for example, that was at the Nassau Coliseum. So this has been cool. A nice little trip down not memory lane, but history lane, because we're actually getting a chance to learn something. You know what I mean? Peace to the good Sir Blaine Boogie. I see that snap too. You know what I mean,
Sir Blaine Bookster.
The Bookster. Speaking of Around the Corner Pro, though, before we actually do get the show started, mañana we're gonna be over here. Create a Pro. Speaking of LI, big LI, a lot of notable faces and names on this here card. So if you're in the area, man, say what up.
Nick Nemeth, MJF, they will not be facing each other, but
Definitely not. Definitely not.
They will be in the building having matches against some quality opponents from the Long Island local scene.
Facts. So without further ado, let's go and get this show started.
Peace to y'all, it's the Ringside Club Paul, A.O., Blaine Boogie, Chad Law. The power's back, triple power bomb. The big dog trio in the stream yard. Go outside, hit the venue guard. It's all love when you see us, Lord. Back to the pad, on air for the pod. Ringside Club, intro to the squad. Let the show start.
Yeah, this is indeed the Ringside Club. Cheers, peace to you and y'all. Once again, like we usually do, broadcasting live from the Empire Tri-State, Thursday nights, 9:05 live, right here on X, right here on YouTube, of course, on demand, on air, all of the things, man. For starters, everything you need to know about the Ringside Club is at theringsideclub.com. Might be something we need to bring back as far as put that website back together too. We got the little link tree right now where you can find all the links to, you know, all the socials and whatnot in the podcast. But head over to theringsideclub.com. Over there, you will find all of the links as far as socials. You can find us on X. We're active on X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and of course on air right now on X and YouTube, where you can catch the on demand as soon as this show ends. Plus podcast platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere else. We're right there. Make sure you subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend that it is indeed them again. I do believe that this is episode number 135, if I'm not mistaken, either 135 or
135, man. 135.
There you go. So 135 of those joints, man. About 3-4 years in, this Ringside Club thing is continuing to build up. And of course, shouts to the third member of that whole John, the good Sir Blaine Boogie. My name is A.O. Baker, man, the Ringside General, the signature mover. Chad, what up?
It's the kid, Chad Law, Young Gadav himself, CHADLAW. Just wanted to also say shout out to that boy Ron Don as well, too, man. Another founding father of the RSC. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Much salute to the God. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying?
I was chopping it up with Ron. You gonna be in the building tomorrow?
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good show tomorrow, man. It's definitely looking like a live one. We're gonna get into AEW Worlds End 2023 because what a time to be alive during this point of AEW, my brother.
Time, bro.
We remember. We remember.
I went back. See, I didn't rewatch this show. What I did, watched my little clips and went and found some articles and read up because I watched this in real time. I forgot for a second the vibe of AEW going into this show and really the majority of 2023.
It was a black cloud, to say the least, brother.
It was a rough one. I even went back and watched some of our shows or listened to some of our shows from the time period. And there's a couple of interesting things about this show. Obviously, like reading, you guys are reading the title on YouTube and all that, talking about, MJF's first and second reign. But this was also the first finals of the first ever Continental Classic. MJF faced off against Samoa Joe in the main event for the title, but this was also the finals for the Continental Classic, where Eddie Kingston was putting, pretty much what would become a short-lived Triple Crown, but a Triple Crown nonetheless, on the line. But there was just a lot of, it's almost like church and state. Like you had a lot of people that really wanted that more sports-centered feel of AEW, the promise of all of that going back to the beginning of the promotion. And then on the other side, you're coming out of All In, for example, and the Brochacho storylines with Adam Cole and
Devil.
how we're trying to figure out who the devil is and all of that. So it was just a lot of, tugging and pulling in one direction or the other, pause, as far as what direction vibe wise the company was going in. But what do you remember about like general thoughts this time period at AEW?
The work rate was up, but it was chaotic than a mug.
Yeah.
It was 13 matches, best believe, but it was just like a black cloud of just nonsense going on between who's leaving, who's staying. Notably, a lot of the people that left at that time period, you know what I mean? Between Andrade, Miro, CM Punk, the whole cloud of that CM Punk vibe was just, that was rough, man. That was a rough blow.
Right on the heels of that, matter of fact, because that was that All In where he got into it with Jack Perry. Yes, that was it.
Correct. It felt like a transitional phase at that time.
Yeah, like looking back, as far as hindsight, it definitely was. Like at the time, still being a fairly young company, and it, they're still doing their numbers and whatnot, but it just felt like they were on a downward slope. Generally speaking, from business numbers, vibe, fan interest, plus WWE. Let's not forget how hot WWE was at this time also. Like this is, right in the middle of the whole bloodline. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
This is the new era, the new regime. Oh, everything's about to be different now. And this is what you was doing. You was giving us CM Punk backstage footage from Chokeout at All Out or All In. So yes, this time period, I could easily tell that a lot of our reception was mixed. The whole fan reception was just not it. You were not all pleased with what was going on in AEW world. Identity was very unclear. I think at that period, that year, it definitely felt unclear because I think MJF's reign, looking back on that reign, was just saddled with bull spit because of this Adam Cole Festival of Friendship nonsense that they did. The majority of the reign.
If I could sum up his MJF's world title reign in one word, it might sound cliche, but polarizing, because there were a lot of people that enjoyed that storyline. They enjoyed the general gist of what MJF was bringing to the table at the time, and there were other people that absolutely hated it. I don't really know too many people that if they had an opinion about it were just like, whatever, it's cool. There were people that were like, I either can't stand this or I'm really into this. So
I was happy for MJF to be the champion, especially for the time period that he was. But I know at that time we were just like, yo, dog, is this all we're doing?
We got to do something else.
Like, is this how every match is about to go? And then we're just going to saddle him with Adam Cole and just have him just be best of friends, worst of enemies. Like, how are we going to do this until it just saddled the remainder of his reign? The start of the reign was good. Danielson, a lot of good matches that was on the table there. You know what I mean? But towards the end of the reign is when things got tough. And I think it ending at World's End was perfect timing. Like,
very apropos. So Nassau Coliseum, this was December 30th, day before New Year's Eve, right there in good old Uniondale. This was about 10,000 people, just over 10,000 people in attendance. According to Wikipedia, about 135,000 bought the pay-per-view. I was one of those people that purchased that pay-per-view. And traditionally, like, we've probably mentioned this a couple of times, traditionally, Nassau Coliseum audiences are very hit or miss. I'm going to just sit back and chill. They don't really make the most noise from time to time, which for the most part throughout this show, this wasn't the most raucous crowd at all. You know what I mean? There were moments where they were up, but generally speaking, it's a classic Nassau Coliseum crowd. You know what I mean? But real brief, I'll just run down what the matches were, and then I'll bring up some of these images. Where do you want to start, though? I'll run through the matches, but once I run through the matches really quick, where do you want to start?
We can go from the start to the finish.
So we had 3 on the pre-show. 2 of Long Island's finest. We had Willow Nightingale, Chris Statlander, 1-on-1. We had a 20-man battle royal with a shot at the AEW TNT Championship on the line. We had Hook versus Wheeler Yuta, FTW. Remember the FTW title? What a time.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. We had the Blackpool. Now, on the pay-per-view side of things, we had the Blackpool Combat Club. That was Claudio and Bryan Danielson, plus Mark Briscoe and Daniel Garcia. 8-man tag against Jay Lethal, Brody King, Jay White, and Roosh. We had Miro 1-on-1 with Andrade El Idolo, CJ Perry in the tuck. What a time.
Yo, just the start
of
those first 2 matches is already just like, wow, you know what I mean? Wow.
Wild combination of names here, brother. Timeless Tony Storm defended the Women's World Championship against Rio. We had Swerve Strickland 1-on-1 against Dustin Rhodes. We had another 8-man tag. I believe this was the All-Star tag with a bunch of people that was in the Continental Classic, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not. I don't know. Sting, Darby Allin, Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara on one side of things. Ricky Starks, Big Bill, Takeshita, and Powerhouse Hobbs on the other side of things. In fact, none of those human beings were in the 8-man tag. That was the previous 8-man tag. And then rounding it out, 2 more matches. There were Julia Hart against Abaddon. House rules match for the TBS Championship. Abaddon's stipulation was that biting was legal. Shouts to Abaddon. Adam Copeland against Christian Cage. 1-on-1, no DQ TNT Championship. And then finally, we had the co-main events here. Eddie Kingston against John Moxley for the Continental Crown. This was the finals of the Continental Classic. And then Samoa Joe 1-on-1 against the defending world champion, MJF.
Exhausted. That's what comes to mind after you lay that whole card down.
I got out of breath reading that, man. I catch my breath.
Jeez.
A lot of matches on that card, man.
That was like the monologue they give at like the award shows when they gotta like speed through everything and give all
That's like Excalibur trying to get all the matches out for next week.
Yo, dog. That was a lot, and that was a lot of BS in that whole rundown of matches, by the way, too. Like, messy. That's why it's just like chaotic, messy. It was just like Sammy Guevara, Sting. What is a lot of these matches even doing here right now? Like, you could easily just cut at least 3, 4, 5 of these matches. And granted, we know that's not the AEW formula per se, but at this time, those matches is just like, yo, we just got to get people on the card. Yo, we need Sting. We're at Nassau Coliseum. Bring in Sting.
What I will say is this was definitely when the show went off, a lot of people were like, man, this was just not their best. They did not put that.
No.
You know what I mean? When you come off classic pay-per-view after classic pay-per-view after classic pay-per-view and the bar is set so high, this was one of those where there were a couple of good, moments or whatever, but it was what it was.
The return of Wardlow was crazy.
Very middle of the road.
The return of Wardlow. All right, let's just take.
There's no way I'm going match by match.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
What I want to do, I think this is an interesting place to start, because the theme of this episode again is like looking at Worlds End at the time, what was going on, and MJF aside, there were a bunch of. There's some very interesting comparing and contrasting here, right? These are 2 guys here that left the company. You had the Redeemer Miro, which was some of his best, at least on camera promo work that he's ever done. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't the most active as far as, the amount of matches that he was wrestling, but I think he probably nailed his character. This is one of the best character moments of Miro's career. And on the other side of that, you had Andrade. they had this weird little storyline where CJ Perry popped up and was, running around with Andrade and I'm on this side of things, whatever. But not too long after this show, both of these guys were out here.
Very
and
fast.
If you look at what's happened since, Miro goes back over to WWE and he's, still over there. He's Rusev. Andrade left, goes to WWE, leaves again, comes back to AEW. He's right now currently doing some of the best work of his career. Rusev is now, I guess, the elder statesman to kind of put some of the younger guys over, it seems.
Yeah, he's about to have a nice feud with Javon Evans for no Intercontinental title. So that's definitely what Rusev has got going on. And he's cool with that, yo. He knows he's been redeemed. And that's why he's comfortable just being in the role he's in at the WWE. And all the blessings to him. He's got to the time for wanting Miro or Rusev to be at the apex is long gone. The ship has sailed. So at this point, just get comfortable seeing Rusev any which way he's booked.
What were you expecting when either of these guys left initially and went over to WWE? Like, did you have any expectations for what they would be doing?
Rusev Day would return, but I don't think that's an option. And I would figure he would be somewhere in the mid-card Intercontinental U.S. title picture scene. And right now he's knocking at the door of the Intercontinental title scene. So that's right there on brand. But Andrade, though, that man's going to be the AEW World Champion in the next year. I would be remiss if Andrade is not the first Latin American World Heavyweight Champion for AEW. Like, bar none. He's doing some of the best work in ring promo, with or without the Don Callis family. Andrade is shining right now, and he's made the best of it. I think he's realized that I ain't about to keep burning these bridges, yo. Like, I'm not from here. I can't just move from corp to corp like Tommy End or some of the other guys that are in the space. Like, if I leave here, I got to go. I'm back to Mexico, man. I can't stay here long. I need somebody to help this visa.
The good sir Tommy Yen, the good sir Aleister Black, Malachi Black. He's a man without a country right now.
Yes, he is a man without a country right now.
He was one of these, because it was almost like Miro, Andrade, and Malachi Black at the time, Aleister Black, were like those three that just never seemed like they got off, or really built up any momentum in AEW for a very long period of time. It would be like a little spurt, and then it get weird, and you don't see them for a while, and then all of a sudden they're out of the country. Out of the company. And now, like, all three of these guys are in different places. One's in AEW, one's in WWE, and we have no idea where, Mr. Black is going to be.
I say MLW. I think he'll find Karrion Kross, and they'll have like a spook off.
Spookamania.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds insane.
That sounds crazy.
MLW level Spookmania.
Nah, they can't do that. But yeah, it was just interesting.
MLW ever dropped episodes, by the way. That's a whole other episode.
Man, like they just stockpiling TV tapings, and then it's just never on TV. They tape for TV.
Them and NWA are leading the league with the most like evergreens for wrestling shows.
Yo, they could put the whole box set out right now, and you've never seen any of these episodes.
WWE don't even got as much evergreen film. Like their shit is so live. It's just like
you're right.
It's gotta go. It's gotta get out. Like
MLW has more content than WWE does.
I agree. The way the fans are clamoring for MLW content is crazy. But back to man. Yes, Andrade is right here. I already believed, but this was the one that I was like, yo, if he just stays, he's going to be the man. And unfortunately, it didn't pan out that way as he went back across the pond and had what was a really solid best of 7 series with one Mr. Carmelo. I was about to say Anthony. It messed me up. Roman Reigns' promo messed me up.
Man. Carmelo
He messed me up, son. Because now I just randomly was like, yeah, that boy Carmelo Hayes.
Roman has not seen a single match. Yeah. Said Carmelo Anthony's the next up and coming superstar on the roster. So we did for Logan Paul. Carmelo Anthony's up next.
Yeah, that messed me up, son. And that's crazy. How, like
NXT.
It's crazy how that could like just be the. And I'm glad he's taking that on the chin, pause, and he's just like running with it. But it's just like damn moments like that. It kind of stunts the growth just a little bit, like just a little bit.
That's home.
Because now I know I ain't the only person that thought like, yeah, that boy Carmelo Hayes, yeah,
harmful. He got hit him with a drop kick or something for that.
Oh man, that's funny, son. That's funny.
So this particular match, Miro wins by submission, defeats Andrade El Idolo. And again, like we mentioned, back in 2023, not too long after, this is basically 2024. Both of these gentlemen were out of here. And this was right after Punk showed up. Survivor Series, I think, was the pay-per-view that he went back. So there was a lot of moving and shaking around this time, and AEW searching for an idea.
Weeks prior.
Yep. I put this picture here of Timeless Tony Storm. If I'm not mistaken, this is before Mercedes was in AEW too, correct?
Yes.
So Tony Storm, was pretty much at this time still like the number one, the biggest star in the women's division. And again, looking at between then and now, we haven't really seen Tony Storm at all this year. Looking like she's going to be out for the remainder of the year. But she was really putting this, again, polarizing, right? This was, from the beginning, this was a pretty polarizing act where some people liked it, some people didn't get it, some people didn't like it. But she really put it together and made it her own and became, arguably one of the most popular acts ever. You know what I mean?
This was the early stages. This was definitely the beginning.
This was early on. And it was always, I always enjoyed it, but I also understood like it's a great act, but maybe there's too much of this sometimes during the match. Maybe let's tone it down during the match and then, kind of live it up. But she ended up putting it together, the grayscale entrance and all of that. But this was a world title match, Timeless Tony Storm against Rio for the women's title. Well, Mariah May was still in the tuck also. Like you see Luther here in the picture, but Mariah May was still in the tuck. And now we see her doing her thing over in NXT.
The women's division here, I feel like, was just a little bit more limited storyline depth-wise. Like I'm gonna go with, like compared to now. I know people really just like to bash on the current women's roster with AEW, but I feel like there's much more stars and better investment in crowd participation and more ways to go than I feel like there was at this particular time period. Like we didn't have Mercedes just yet. DMD was here and there and everywhere. You know what I mean? Tony Storm's character was just starting. I mean, look at it now compared to where it was at just a year ago. Like she looks like $10 million there, and this one she looks like she's cosplaying as Tony Storm. It's time with Tony Storm.
Yeah,
I mean? Like
she went a long way as far as figuring that character out. Yeah, and from the jump, like this, from everything that I read and heard, Tony Khan this is like one of his pet projects as far as figuring out this character and writing the storyline between Tony and Mariah and how that eventually played out, as the understudy and all of that. But this was the beginning of that. And yeah, like that, the women's division has grown so much since this time, like leaps and bounds. For example, Rio was her opponent here. We don't see Rio at all. Rio pops up, the odd and the odd time here and there. Look at Hikaru Shida, who's just been recently back, how long she was out. And she was an early pillar of that entire division.
Women's champion, and currently she's a mid-card babyface. Not sure if she wants to be a heel. It's a lot going on with Hikaru Shida. A lot of camera time, but we have no idea what's really going on internally. It's like she wants to beat up Stat, but she wants to love Stat too.
That's how I feel about Stat too. Stat had that match with Willow on the card in the opener. She's somebody talking about Chris Statlander that I don't know. They just can't figure out what your persona is supposed to be. Like, what am I supposed to feel about your persona? What about your personality are you bringing through that I'm supposed to latch on to? Am I supposed to boo you? Like, am I supposed to cheer you? How am I supposed to feel about you? And I feel like they might get somewhere for one episode and then it just completely changes or just doesn't catch. And then they just try a bunch of things. But generally speaking, this women's division has grown a bunch since this time.
Jade Cargill in her Joe Budden interview said something really interesting that a lot of us already knew, but it was just in the sense of like in AEW, there are no writers. So when I go to WWE, a lot of this stuff is being put out for me with my creative input as well. But in AEW, it's just like, yo, here's what you got to hit. Go out there and get it done. So when it comes to like pitching and your story and your creative, what we see of Chris Statlander is like, yo, so that's what you're coming up with?
Man, right? Think back.
That's what I think. When it comes to anything, like after seeing that Jade, like just her saying that to me, like then I'll be thinking about the current AEW roster, and I'm like, so if that's what's going on over there, it's like, so this is the best thing that y'all yourselves thought this was gonna work. Like this is what's gonna do it, and it clearly ain't doing it. So
it's old school, right? Like from pick a name. Talk about Steve Austin, for example. When Steve Austin came into WWE and he was given that ringmaster gimmick versus what we eventually knew Stone Cold to be, he came up with Stone Cold himself. You know, his wife at the time came up with the moniker or whatever, and he starts putting the pieces of the puzzle together. But that wasn't pitched to him. That was something I'm like, yo, I have this idea for a character. Let's try to make it work. And it worked. So it's much less than like the Vince McMahon formula of like The Undertaker, for example, where he has his character in mind, he just needs somebody to play it. That ain't it. So if you can't figure out how to bring something in you out, it's just not, you're not going to translate to a television audience or an audience, period. And I think like Stat in the ring is dope. And I really hope that she finds something about her personality to get people to latch on to it, because it's weird. I have no idea what's going on with her and Hikaru Shida right now whatsoever.
She's not an alien anymore. She's a fighter. She's a spirit angel. She's an anime character. She's Sailor Moon. I don't know what Chris Statlander is a lot of the times. And that's what is unfortunate. Like I said, because of Jade just reminding me of that little tidbit, Chris Statlander falls in line with one of those people where I'm like, so this is the best you came up with?
Yeah.
It's like, you just say, yo, go out there and just do what you got to do. MJF gets it done. Kevin Knight, not so much. Chris Statlander, not so much. Darby Allin, he's gotten the hang of it.
Kevin Knight translates.
Kevin Knight is one of the worst promos in AEW, bro.
I couldn't disagree with you more, bro.
That guy is just shakes.
I don't think that he's great as a promo. I don't think that he's bad as a promo. I think he doesn't have enough reps. And what you're seeing now is him getting his reps so he can figure out his rhythm. I think
I'll give you that.
But what I will say though is what he has in his pocket, what's an advantage for him is that he actually does have a personality, and he has a magnet as far as like the charisma that he has. So he has all of the elements. I just think he needs more time on the mic to figure out his rhythm. That's all.
I almost want him to be a
worst promos in AEW is a little too far to the right, bro.
Kevin, it's just that it's just when you go out there with MJF, like I watched that episode last week, almost like when you watch like Bambi go up against a mountain lion. Like when Kevin Knight came out, I was like, oh man, MJF's going to call this guy nothing short of a nigga on camera.
But look, I don't think
Kevin Knight is just gonna tell him, yo, I'm the jet. I'm too fly, too high.
Nah, bro. He ain't
good night.
He ain't do all that. Too far. Flag on the play. He ain't do all that, bro.
Yo, he just got 2 lines.
It wasn't.
His catchphrase is, I want to be the AEW World Champion. Disregard the title that I got. My catchphrase is, I'm the jet. I'm too fly. I want to be the AEW World Champion. That's it. That's all we know about Kevin Knight. That's all he brings to the microphone. That's all he says. That's all he says.
What happens? MJF comes out there. Kevin Knight comes out there. Kevin Knight is out there because he had a match with him earlier this year.
Yes.
Right? So he's coming out like a baby face should. You got this guy, MJF, who's out here whining. I have a reason to be out here because you have a win over me, but I got something that you want. You don't, it's a title. You want a title.
I like that. Oh, I like that. I'm with you on that. I'm rolling with you on that. I like
all that. He said,
but it's the delivery. You don't feel
that's
comfortable.
what I'm saying. The delivery was, he still has to work on the delivery, but that only comes with reps.
It's just anytime he's just been on camera in general, it's just like anytime the backstage promos, the things with Hong Kong Fooey, like it just doesn't feel comfortable when it's like, yo, your right hand man's is Trick Williams, and granted, he's one of the most electrifying men in sports entertainment. That was crazy. I didn't even mean to go, but it was just like, yo, that's what comes to mind when you say the name Trick Williams on WWE product. It's just like, yo, Kevin Knight isn't Trick Williams. I'm not saying he has to be. He's a great athlete, a great wrestler, but it's just like when it comes to the talking, you don't feel any type of believable Kevin Knight. And I think he would benefit being a heel, almost being with the Hurt Syndrome.
I disagree twice.
You know what I mean?
Disagree twice. It's not. I believe exactly. I believe that you watch a character, you're supposed to believe that they believe what they're saying. I believe that he believes everything that he's saying. It's just not the smoothest, but it's also not bad.
It's almost like Swerve. Like Swerve's promos still aren't even like Swerve. Right? Swerve has said some bullshit. Swerve said some bullshit. So we all was just like, all right, man.
It's not even close. You said all up my whole argument. I'm not arguing with anything that you're saying other than you said he's one of the worst promos in AEW and he's not even close. I think he's okay.
It was just for the guys who are currently at the forefront. I'm taking Ciampa. I'm taking Brody King. I'm taking MJF, Samoa Joe, Ospreay. The list goes on.
Like what, 5 names? 4 of them are some of the best in the business. Okay, sure.
And this is just what you're going up against right now. All right, that's it.
Reps.
That's what you're going up against.
All I'm saying is he just needs more reps. I think he has every element that you need. Right? He's a magnet to the camera. He has charisma.
He's the jet. He's too fly. He's going to be the AEW World Champion.
What is anybody supposed to say? Are you supposed to come out there and say that you don't want the title? What you supposed to say?
Yo, man, all I'm saying is this coming Dynamite is for the sickos. It's Darby versus Jet Too Fly.
Did he not come out and confront MJF with a reason for confronting MJF?
Yo, he made it known. I appreciate it.
What you supposed to say?
I just know that when you go up against MJF on the microphone, man, you know it's gonna be a long segment.
Look, bro, sometimes you get dunked on, but you have to get out there.
Yeah, you know.
But it ain't as bad as you make it seem. Not even close.
Well, if we're speaking about MJF, present day MJF compared to previous MJF.
That's right.
Leaps and bounds.
There was a lot going on again at this time. Not only you have the tone of MJF as the world champ, centerpiece of AEW, he's going up there against Samoa Joe. But then in the background, you have this friendship with Adam Cole. You have this Who is the Devil? I believe what was going on at the time is like people are just getting jumped left and right in the back, and the devil mask pops up, and it's a bunch of people in black. And we're getting in the World's End. And I think in general, a lot of people knew that this is definitely going to be the time where they pay off who the devil is. We're going to get a reveal. And I'm sure a bunch of people figured that it was going to be, Adam Cole or whatever. But I remember at the end of the match, the bell rings. Samoa Joe wins by submission. Fans are chanting bullshit in the crowd. Beats the hometown guy at home. It's some very Vince McMahon book.
That was fly.
Very Vince.
That was fly.
We ended up with a brand new world champ, Samoa Joe. And I remember again, like the combination of Samoa Joe winning this world title, taking it off of MJF, and then the Continental Classic happening at the same time was like, oh, we're getting there. I remember at the time also there was a lot of conversation about the standings. Bring the standings back. They did bring them back. That lasted for 2 weeks. We got rid of the standings.
That was quick. Damn, yo, I missed the standings. Yo. That would be dope. The standings would be awesome.
Yeah. MJF's first title reign was 406 days. Longest reigning world champ of all time. His second reign, 109. And even night and day with just about a 300-day difference. Would you say that his second reign was better than his first? Because I would.
Second reign was better than the first.
Yeah.
There was more excitement in the second reign, quality-wise, I'd say. Like, I mean, there was excitement with the first reign because it was MJF's first, but this reign, I just think there was just packed with more quality to it. You know what I mean? You had more meaningful things happening, and there's things that are leading towards even better programs, like currently, which is going to bring to potentially his third title reign, which I think makes a lot of good sense. Like, it's dope. And I did appreciate the way this title match ended up going because it was dope. Because I really didn't think Samoa Joe was going to win, to be honest. I don't remember the time period we were talking about. I don't remember the prediction show. I should have checked back on that episode, but I don't think I predicted Samoa Joe would win. I feel like we were all saying MJF was just going to retain and it was just going to be business as usual.
Yeah, I think like everybody was on board with that for sure. Because it just like I never thought that Samoa Joe was going to be a world champ again, period, you know? And that's what made this to me anyway such a dope outcome, because it was a pleasant surprise. It was refreshing, you know. MJF was also hurt at the time. He came out, his shoulders wrapped up. There was a bunch of talk about him having a bad hip at the time, and he had to go away. Adam Cole was also injured. So regardless of where their storyline was going, there was not going to be a match between the two of them anytime soon. You know, so like the payoff is never really going to be a real payoff, because you're never going to get MJF and Adam Cole in the ring one-on-one.
And it's also fly that Samoa Joe was a two-time AEW World Champion around right now, to look back on it as well too. Like, I didn't think Samoa Joe would even be a two-time AEW World Champion, let alone a one-time. So the fact that one of the gods is able to do that and has it on his resume, it's fire, bro. You don't get much better than that with Samoa Joe. In LI, big LI, man. That's a moment right there.
Yep.
That is a moment.
Yep. Yeah, he shocked the world. You know, there was definitely some people that lost some money on this one. And again, it was a palate change, you know, a palate cleanser rather. Because Samoa Joe, as far as wrestling is concerned, is, you know, the most legitimate guy, you know, one of the most legitimate guys. Battle tested, longest reigning Ring of Honor champ of all time, if I'm not mistaken. This was an interesting call. Definitely not one I saw coming. I don't remember if I predicted who the devil was going to be, but looking at these names here, it's pretty much like the Kingdom, you know, Undisputed Era, that whole vibe, that whole family, and then Wardlow. And this was something that I thought coming out of this. Yeah.
And then Wardlow was funny.
I thought this was going to be a moment where we rebuild Wardlow as like Adam Cole's weapon or whatever the case was. And again, very short-lived. This did not last long at all.
That boy was there for a flash in the pan.
Shouts to American Gladiators.
Oh yeah, the new show that is about to happen.
American Gladiator. I think he's
Camille
there.
Came back.
Camille, yeah. Yep.
We might see Wardlow.
I feel like I saw Wardlow pop up recently saying like he misses wrestling and whatnot.
Oh, I think he was injured. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, he's been hurt. He's been hurt. And he's another guy, like, you look at that momentum. When Wardlow was hot, Wardlow was hot. And I don't see a world where he regains that heat. But is there even room? You look at the current landscape of AEW now, I'm not sure there's even really room for him to flourish like that, you know?
I think I'll keep
it without changing something, let's say.
I think I'll keep it in the same structure of, if Wardlow was to get hotter again, he would have to do it in NXT. I think Wardlow had to jump the fence to like restart his career. And I said that years ago. I said that during the apex of the TNT title run. I was like, man, Wardlow would be pretty solid at NXT right about now. So I think they could use him just a little bit more than AEW does right now.
I will say, like, he would have to change something major. And I haven't seen that versatility to believe that he can pull that off. You know, I don't know what the major change would be, but if Wardlow comes back packaged as Wardlow as we've known him, I don't really think that it's going to work out, you know, unless you just go for straight heat and do something with MJF. But then what?
Wardlow come back with a baldy and a beard on his champa-ish and just thug it out.
Popping out Ushi-Kuroshis and whatnot.
Yeah. Like, yo, it's Wardlow. He's shaved his head and got a beard now. He's a mountain man. Like,
fresh out the New Japan dojo, brother.
Yeah. Yo, speaking of impromptu, shout to that man Untitled that just debuted in NXT to challenge Tony D'Angelo, the former
You didn't give
Evil.
him a name?
No name. It's
Talking about
hopefully
Evil?
Yes, we're talking about Evil. Hopefully not going to be Tommy Terrible or Tetsu Terrible. Tetsu Terrible was crazy.
Man, it said Tommy Terrible.
Yeah, so there's speculation on what Evil's name will be moving forward. But just wanted an impromptu New Japan signing shout out to the NXT product.
Evil.
How you feel about that? What's the stance on that? You know, AO is our New Japan dojo guy over here. What is the background on Evil, and what are we to expect of Evil moving forward in WWE land?
So as far as like bell to bell, Evil's not a bad wrestler. He's good. He's actually a trainer, one of the trainers over there in New Japan. However,
there's always a however.
Yeah. He's a faction leader over there. House of Torture was the faction. He was the leader over there.
Oh, they're the running joke on the internet.
What would literally happen every match? Yeah, every time Evil is in a match, or anybody from House of Torture for that matter, the match itself would kind of play second fiddle to basically counting down to when somebody from House of Torture inevitably, runs interference. And it would be multiple guys, and it looks cartoonish. Like you would have guys just come out there and somebody distracts the ref for 5 minutes. The interference lasts longer than the rest of the match sometimes. And they're just in the ring, beating down the opponent. The whole ring is shaking. People are booing, and the ref is I don't know what's going on. So it got to a point where it's honestly hard to watch, an evil match. WWE is not going to let it go that far. Obviously, they're going to control it a bit. But I don't really, if he's not a faction leader within the next month, at least with one or two people under his wing, I'd be surprised. I don't know what they're going for with his character, but he was leading the House of Torture over in New Japan. He's going to be leading the House of something or the other down to NXT. Now bell to bell, he can go, but that's also not what NXT or WWE is really about like that.
So it would have to be him grabbing a whole new crop of people because there are no Japanese wrestlers in NXT at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think it has to necessarily be an all Japanese faction. It just depends on what is his tone of character and who matches up with that, or who's going to be changed to match up with whatever his tone of character was. Like the name of his joint is it was Evil, you know what I mean? So he was definitely not a good guy. And he just was down there with a bunch of, what I will say also about New Japan factions is everybody doesn't always look like they come from the same block. They don't look like they always have something in common. Sometimes it feels like a mismatch of people.
No, that's how I feel about Ospreay's new faction, United Empire reboot.
Nah, but what was dope about the United Empire was that there was somebody from different regions. Like the idea of the faction was that I'm gonna find the best from a bunch of different regions and unite them as one empire.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
That was dope. But yeah, shouts to Evil. Congrats, get your money. I'm not sure what the plan is, but you'll tell me about it.
Out the gate, he's going after Tony D'Angelo in the NXT World Title. Will he be a face? Will he be a heel? It's TBD, but that's where Evil stands right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to Worlds End 2023. 2023, what a year that was.
On Mr. Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Honestly, the God is unstoppable right now. I don't know how I feel about the losses. It's just all on the character work. It's fine. MJF's MJF. He can afford the losses. This was the time period that MJF really showed that he can hold the company. I know it was chaotic, but this reminds me of almost like the Eddie Guerrero being WWE champion in 2004. I was around for that time period. So, that was the time period. This was post-Brock. This was post, you know what I mean, the Goldberg, Austin. We needed Chris Benoit, and we needed Eddie Guerrero. And things weren't really the greatest of momentum at that time period in WWE. Some of the worst SmackDowns of all time being presented. Programmed so bad that we had The Undertaker versus the Dudley Boys main eventing a pay-per-view with Paul Heyman getting put in a cement box if The Undertaker lost. I'm talking that was some really bad times. And also, Eddie Guerrero was the WWE champion at that time. But, he took blame for that. He was the champion. And while this wasn't the worst, was this really the worst time period for AEW? This might have been the worst year.
It wasn't the best. That's probably the worst.
Might have been the worst. So I think MJF as the
Which is
champion.
crazy, by the way, coming off of All In, which is to date the biggest wrestling show of all time. Obviously, their biggest show.
You almost forget about that because
of
what
a couple of months after All In, and then All Out the next weekend. You know what I mean?
Because of what happened that night, you forget about the whole impact that whole card had. Like, that was a beautiful showing. And then right out the gate, match one, all hell breaking loose, and then the next day. Which is still crazy. Which is still crazy to me. Like, that's how the night starts. Like, you almost didn't even want to believe it when you saw it online. I was like, wait a minute, what is happening right now? Like, what is popping up on my timeline?
Nuts. Over what? My man just wanted to be out. At that point, he's like, I'm done.
Yes, I think that's really what it was. He was like, yo, this is the best way I can get out of here. Yeah. I'm gone. What would the world been if Punk would have stayed and he would have been here for Worlds End 2023? Would we be seeing Samoa Joe versus CM? Would Samoa Joe have won the AEW World title? We could play a quick little hypothesis before we move on.
Let me think back. The last time he had a major, like, long-term feud was over. Well, I mean, look, for starters, All In, he not defended his title, but he was bringing that real AEW Worlds Championship out.
That's what there we go. Now we're connected.
Spray painted the X title.
That's where we were heading towards, and I think we were really going to get to that program. I was looking forward to that, actually.
There was a lot of conversation about, this might really become a roster split, if I remember correctly, because he was exclusively on Collision, and he was also running the show, or at least one of the people running the show. So it was like, I remember him telling Christopher Daniels, for example, like, nah, you're not on Saturdays anymore, bro. So I think he actually held like an office position. You know what I mean? Like, Punk was his end talent.
That was pretty dope. Like, that was a good period. Like, it's crazy because, man, there was so much potential, bro. Like, it was fun to just imagine what it was going to look like if everyone just got along and kumbaya. Well, that's how the game works. You know what I mean? That's how business is rolling.
You could definitely hope for the best.
They hope for the best, and you're right.
If
now,
CM Punk doesn't
choke out Jack Perry,
look, it still would have eventually ended badly. It just would have been something else. So you would have to go back further than that to the previous year with the issues with Hangman, and they just got to sit down and squash that, before it gets to the point that he's on that press conference spazzing out. Like, you have to nip this in the bud before it gets to the press conference for CM Punk to at any point, extend his stay at AEW, because it was on borrowed time by that point. By the time we got to this period of time, or even like early in 2023, it wouldn't have worked.
Because I don't think the time length of the contract mattered. He just got fired. It was like, you're out of here.
Yeah, he was done.
I'm done. It's like, I'm not safe. You're out of here, buddy.
Yeah, he was done. That's why Tony Khan was like, you're fired with cause. Your unsafe work environment. I feared for my life, the whole nine. That was all like, this is so I can break that contract without having to worry about anything. Done deal.
What a time period. AEW 2023.
Done deal. And then there's this. Before we get to the content, let me just scroll through real quick. If there's anything else, I just wanted to make mention of this. This was from the 8-man tag, Sting, Darby Allin. Let me pull up the rest of this match. It was Sting, Darby Allin, Jericho, Sammy Guevara. By the way, Jericho was booed heavily on this show. It was all kind of nonsense that he found himself in, but so it was the four of them against the Don Callis families, Konosuke Takeshita, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, and Big Bill. This was Sting's last, I believe, New York match. This was Sting's last match in New York, if I'm not mistaken. And shortly after this is when the two of them won the tag titles. I think that was Revolution was his last official match. So this is a few months away.
Does that happen in 2024? You're right.
Yeah, March of 24 when they beat the Bucks.
What a time period that was.
Yep. This is Sting's official last match in New York. Took place at Worlds End, Nassau Coliseum.
Really was a World's End with that one. Damn.
Absolutely. This here,
forgot
no
this
holds barred match, 1-on-1. Christian Cage and Adam Copeland. I put this up. I thought this was interesting to talk about because of where these two men find themselves now. Locked in this feud with FTR. Is it going to be another no holds barred match or I quit match? And if they lose, then they can never team again. They retire the team of Cope and Christian. And we very well could see these two in a similar situation to what we're looking at on screen right now. I think they're going to win the titles.
I think so too.
You know, I think they're definitely going to win the titles, get that last tag team title run. But they beat the hell out of each other for the TNT Championship here. Match of the night, I believe.
That was a good one. I really forgot about that one, because it's like Cope just came in the company at Wrestle Dream in October. And that was pretty exciting because that was one of the first times where like we really saw someone jump ship on a major scale from WWE, having a retirement run and all that with the legacy that they have, right to AEW land, like right out the gate. I mean, Bryan Danielson did that, but he waited it out quite a bit of time after he finished out at WrestleMania. Like he gave it the summer. Cope was just like, yo, it's August. It's like the end of August. I'm going home. I'm gonna go be a dad. October's here, yo. On this day, I see clearly I'm in AEW for the night. You know what I'm saying? Literally, it was just that quick of a turnaround. So I think that was pretty dope to see, like someone in the current historic arc of WWE just jump over the ship. And at this point, I'm just happy to see my guy just stay healthy, man. Just don't jump off large infrastructures.
Please don't jump off any cages anymore, brother.
If the retirement year is on the way, just keep healthy. Like that's it. I think a lot of his run in AEW has just been marred with some unfortunate injuries, and of course he had to do filming and whatnot. But for Percy Jackson, I think it is. But I don't know. Just as long as he stays healthy, I would love to just see Cope have a nice send off because I know the time's coming. It's gonna happen sooner or later.
Both of these guys.
It'll be interesting to see when we have that episode where we're like, so do you think that Edge and Christian return to WWE and get put in the Hall of Fame? Or do they stay AEW lifers?
Neither of them are Hall of Famers?
I don't know the answer to that one, actually. I don't think Christian is. Edge might be. But I know Christian most likely is not a WWE Hall of Famer.
You think Christian, if he does get into WWE Hall of Fame, does he get in as a singles or is it strictly as a tag?
Strictly as a tag, like Demolition style. They might not even have him on too long.
Sure.
Nah, you gotta. Nah, it's disrespectful.
I was gonna say thank you, God bless you, good night.
I am Father of the Year. Not you, Paul Levesque. Not you. Nah, but that is gonna be a funny topic though. Like when it's time to see both of them retire, will they go back over there and get their flowers? It's not the biggest thing in the world to talk about, but I do find that I think it's gonna be a topic when the time comes and we see Cope wrap up his AEW run. I think Christian damn near will be a lifer with AEW. He's just Christian to me can be the AEW World Champion tomorrow, and I'll be happy.
I wouldn't mind at all.
I'm cool with Christian as the AEW World Champion. If you're gonna give transitional title reigns, Christian as a champ for 4 weeks to just piss people off works for me, brother, because that's a heel. Like
pure.
Like that's the heel. That's the heel that we could actually be like, I want to see him get his day where like he's going to get put through the Marty Jannetty window.
Yeah, man, throw him through the barbershop window.
Yeah, I still champion Christian Cage to be AEW World Champion. I see this right here from AEW Worlds End 2023, and I still say Christian Cage could and should be AEW World Champion.
Turtleneck and all, bro.
Turtleneck and all. Once this Cope and Christian run is over, yeah, man.
This was the TNT title. This was Adam Copeland beating Christian Cage. But earlier in the night, that was Killswitch that won the shot at the TNT Championship. Turns the tables. Adam gets beat up. Christian Cage takes the pinfall.
We remember.
He becomes the TNT champ. right then and there. Christian immediately invoked the title shot that was earned by Killswitch on the pre-show. He left with that TNT title. And then we'll finish up with this, although it's not out of or not in order as far as what happened on the card. Do you remember this is the first Continental Classic? Do you remember the names that took place in the first Continental Classic?
Claudio, Darby, Brody, Andrade, Cody. I say Cody. Konosuke Takeshita, Okada,
Nah.
Moxley, Sammy Guevara, Danny Garcia, Wheeler Yuta.
Not Guevara though.
Yeah, I feel like that's the majority.
We had two leagues that were 12 guys here. Gold League was Mox, Swerve, Roosh, Mark Briscoe, Jay Lethal, Jay White. Blue League was Bryan Danielson, Andrade, Brody King, Claudio, Danny Garcia, and of course Eddie Kingston. So that was the first Continental Classic. And then there was
word association. Let's play word association real quick with those names that you just said. So let's go in order what you just said. You said Jon Moxley, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gold League Mox. I say Moxley is still one of the pillars here, so that's really dope to see.
Oh, that's not without a doubt. Mox is the A company. Like what happens a lot with MJF and Hangman Page is who's the main character of this and main character of that and focal point, which is very often the truth. But as far as being the anchor, Mox is one of the anchors where when all else fails, he's the ace. You can turn to Mox and they hold it down. So, and he's still doing some of his best work. Talk about the Continental title. He's the Continental champ right now, and he's loving it and relishing the idea. So, about to turn Ospreay into a major weapon. But one word, ace.
Next
was Swerve.
Swerve at this time period was not the AEW World Champion yet, but he was still getting there.
Yeah, he was on his way. But this was coming off of, I think, that match with it was a very violent affair. Who did he have that match with?
Hangman.
Yeah.
I'll say opportunist.
Yeah.
He got some good opportunity as he led up to his first world title reign because this was the start. This was the catalyst for a lot of it. He didn't win. He only did become champion just a couple months later.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like the word for him, opportunist, is one. I just think like if it's not one word, but on the rise. Momentum building. He's definitely building momentum. There's a lot of people around this time. People definitely already understood that you were looking at a future world champ. You just didn't know exactly when it was going to happen. So he was on his way up. Next name is Roosh. My one word is exciting, man. Roosh always, if nothing else, is going to put on an exciting and violent match. It's not going to go anywhere.
So because you got the herds, you mess with the bull, you get the herds, man.
I love it's not going to go anywhere storyline wise, but if Roosh is on my television, I'm watching that.
Shout to 2026. He's on AEW programming on Dynamite having squash matches, pissing off the crowd. The crowd at home, not the crowd in the audience.
Let's see.
Why is there squash matches on Dynamite? Let's get Roosh some wins. I don't know. He's back. Mess with the bull.
Bring squash matches back, bro. I like them.
Mess with the bull. You get that.
Don't need to be exclusive to Collision.
What do you think Roosh goes in 2026? Since he didn't really go too far from 2023's Continental Classic.
Brother, I have no idea. Because
just because Roosh was back on this previous,
Yeah, he was, but it's not the squash match. Like when, let's say, Superstars back in the 90s, right? Superstars is on. There's a squash match happening, but in the little box, picture in picture, the same person that's in the ring winning the squash match would have a promo directed at somebody for the pay-per-view or somebody for the Monday Night Raw match. That doesn't happen with Roosh. I don't know what program Roosh is involved in right now. You know what I mean? So if I will say this, for Tony Khan to put Roosh on Dynamite, not Collision, but on Dynamite squash match or no squash match, would hope that he's involved in something. It could be we're gonna give him some squash matches because sooner rather than later we're gonna announce the Owen and he's gonna be one of the participants. So let's give you some reminders of who he is. But as far as like anything more than that, I have no idea. I'll just be guessing.
It's clipped on that. Next name?
Guessing. Mark Briscoe, underdog.
Definitely. I go with underdog.
Yeah.
You almost forget he was sneaky in this tournament too. It's crazy.
Yeah. Jay Lethal. No wins.
Cooked.
Jay Lethal did not win at all.
That's what I remember.
He did not win at all.
Cooked,
that
buddy.
Story that they were telling was like he was just super reliant because he was running with Jeff Jarrett at the time. And Satnam Singh, I think, is the big dude's name.
Ain't really doing him too much justice.
Yeah, but he was running with them, and every time that he had a match, it ended because they helped him out. And now that you're in with these continental rules, wasn't working out for him. Couldn't win anything without interference. So
not at all.
No wins. And then Jay White, last guy in the goal.
Casper.
Yeah. Stay healthy, brother.
I miss Jay White though. I can't front, man. I would love to see Jay White back on AEW programming, bro. Ain't gonna hold you.
100%. Over in the Blue League, 6 names. We have Bryan Danielson, GOAT. You know, this was another guy that didn't really have much longer, you know, as far as time in his career. Right after this was when he went into the last year of his career.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So he had that very brief world title run of probably less than a month later on in 2024. He had a couple of great matches. I think right after this, he had the match with Okada at Wrestle Kingdom in Japan.
The God.
A couple days later.
The motherfucking God.
But, you know, Bryan Danielson, GOAT, Andrade. Enigma. I'm gonna say Enigma, not necessarily on-screen character, but just like can't really figure out what's ever happening with this guy until recently. You know, inconsistent is another word.
Yeah, inconsistent is a good one because shortly after that, my man went missing in action back to Fedland.
Yes, sir. So I might go with inconsistent, although he's doing his thing right now. This was a breakout for the next name, Brody. This was a breakout for him. This was the first time that a lot of people on the big stage got a chance to see Brody do his thing as a singles. And this was when that chatter, because House of Black was still a thing. This is when that chit chatter was like, oh no, he's the star of the House of Black. Like, all right, we get Aleister Black. All right, we understand Buddy. All right, cool. It's him and Julia Hart. And this was the breakout for Brody.
Easily, I would say 2 words, but eye-opening.
Yep.
Essentially the breakout. Like, this is the one that had people like really knowing, like, yo, Brody King is gonna be a problem. Because I was saying it then, and I still say it now. And Brody King is gonna be somebody who's definitely gonna get singles gold very, very soon.
For sure. 3 more names. Claudio, who I would just say the opposite of Andrade, right? If Andrade is inconsistency, Claudio is consistency. He's Mr. Consistency. You know what you're getting.
For sure.
Daniel Garcia. Identity.
Scrappy dude.
I'm gonna say identity. Because right, this was that time period where should you be doing the dance or not? And he was storyline trying to figure his way back into the win column. And he lost up until the last match of the tournament, you know. So this was that moment where, all right, let me get back to wrestling instead of doing all the sports, because he was coming out of the Jericho Appreciation Society.
Yes, I remember that.
What a time that was, man.
That was a brutal fashion. Brutal.
I forgot that until I just said that out loud, that was a thing.
Brutal, John. Brutal.
Yep, Jericho Association Appreciation Society. And then Eddie Kingston. He's a champ. He's a guy that won it all. Triple Crown. So I'm gonna say I might say vindication for Eddie Kingston. I think, in my opinion, this is probably the biggest moment of his career, biggest time period of his career. Got a chance to pay tribute to a lot of the guys that he was influenced by. 3 belts. You see him holding all 3 of those belts right now. Ring of Honor, AEW, and New Japan Strong. So I'm gonna go Vindication.
That's a guy who had a better time period then than he is right now. They rushed my man back from injury and just sat him on the pre-show and said, "Welcome back, welcome back, Eddie." I know Eddie Kingston's time period at this point was a lot brighter because look at it. He was featured on television all the time between AEW and Ring of Honor, which was telling. So hopefully he just gets his bearings back in the ring. You know what I mean? Looks a little bit more presentable. And I think you'll start to see more Eddie Kingston. I'd love to see more Eddie Kingston currently, but we've got the Jet 2 Fly trying to be the world heavyweight champion right now. That's what matters most.
You know what I would love to see is Eddie and Mark Briscoe as a tag team. I don't think you get a more lovable tag team than those two.
That's pretty fly. That's pretty good. That's a nice makeshift tag team if I've seen one. Yeah. Like in the current landscape of who's available, I can rock with that.
Those are the two like purest and believable baby faces. Like you're never gonna boo Eddie Kingston. You're never gonna boo Mark Briscoe ever.
I like that a lot actually, and that kills two birds with one stone in the sense the division needs tag teams that matter, and then you got two guys right off the top. If you putting Big Bill and Ricky Starks together, Eddie Kingston and Mark Briscoe would be a super, super great babyface team to go up against FTR.
And like to me, like they're both grizzled. You know, they've been around the block forever. They've seen it all, done it all, and the independence all the way over to AEW and all that. That'd be dope. And very violent guys that do pay a lot of tribute, specifically Eddie, but in general, both of them, they got a lot of respect for whoever came before them and all that too. So
yes,
I would like to see that.
That is fly. I like that.
I'd like to see that. But yeah, overall thoughts about Worlds End or any other notes for the 2023 edition, the first edition of AEW Worlds End?
That was not the most memorable show. It was memorable for the wrong reasons. Star-studded names, but a show you just absolutely would not want to go back to if you look back on the catalyst of all the shows that have happened in AEW history. Like you just go with the card and you go, I can catch the highlights of that, but if I want to sit through all this, I don't know if I want to sit through all of this.
Yeah.
There's takeaway matches, but at the same time, I could really skip those 8-man tags. And the house rules match with Abaddon. I don't really know if Abaddon, as we clearly see, is who hasn't made the cut for 2026 AEW is who I needed to see on a pay-per-view at the time. You know, wasn't really an Abaddon guy. Sorry to those who loved Abaddon. Wasn't my cup of tea, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We had Willow and Stat on the pre-show, but we got Abaddon right here on the main card.
Yeah, I'd have put Willow and Stat on the main card.
Yeah, that was nuts.
I was never really the biggest fan of Abaddon either, but
yeah,
to each their own. Yeah, coming out of this, man, to me, the two biggest notes, or two of the biggest notes, was just like the tone change that starts at the top with the world champ Samoa Joe taking that title off of MJF. Was just a breath of fresh air for me. I'm gonna speak for me because I was not a fan. In general, I'm a fan of MJF. Generally speaking, I was happy that he was world champ, but by this time, I was more than tired of his reign and definitely more than tired of his program with Adam Cole. So even though the Devil reveal was a surprise to some, and let's see where it goes, blah blah blah, let it play out. More than anything, I was just happy that he wasn't the champ anymore, and very happy that it was Samoa Joe because
you were vocal about that time. I remember.
It was brutal. It was brutal. But then happy for Samoa Joe because who isn't a fan of Samoa Joe? You know what I mean? Like who doesn't want to see Samoa Joe, you know, on top of any promotion?
That was very good. Yeah, like
that was dope. And then the other thing again is just this Continental Classic, which, you know, a few years later is proven to be a lot of people's favorite time of the year when it comes to AEW television programming. Like that's something that I look forward to. A month-long round robin that always produces some classic matches. You know, you had Eddie Kingston, he lost his first 2 matches and then came back to win the whole thing, keep his titles, and plus win this inaugural. The story that they were telling, like I mentioned earlier, with Jay Lethal, for example, he couldn't win anything without help Garcia trying to figure out himself. I remember Bryan Danielson had the orbital bone injury, so he was fighting through that. And every match that he had, somebody is targeting the orbital bone. Mark Briscoe was another guy who this was one of his first moments as a real singles guy without ever having the chance to go back to a tag. Like he's had singles success back in Ring of Honor before this, TV champ and all that. But, obviously after Jay passed, there is no more tag team of the Briscoes. So Mark had to figure his way out. And then just Brody, the rise of Brody, that was dope. Being able to see him as a breakout star. But all in all, to me, this signifies like a tone change. Tony Khan paying attention to a lot of the conversation about this ain't the AEW that I like, and the different conversations that would go in that direction. And he tried to correct it with the Continental Classic, with Samoa Joe trying the standings out for 2 months, 2 weeks rather, but just understanding what made people fall in love with AEW, or why people fell in love with AEW in the first place. A lot of it just had to do with what they are now, and that's where the best wrestle. So this was like trying to turn the corner and make some corrections and all that. But that's kind of what I think about for that time period and coming out of the 2023 edition of World's End. Nassau Coliseum, man.
Salute to the sickos, you heard?
Yep. So yeah, man. That's it. One more episode in the books, brother.
135.
135 in the books. Check that Creative Pro out, manana. We'll catch each and every one of y'all next go round. Be out of here, man.
RSC. Like and subscribe.